Just a perk that I want to briefly cover, because in my opinion it's the most important perk for any high level of play. Yeah, I just want to do a quick guide for the Commando. So yeah, here we are about to spawn into a new game. I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the basics. I'm not necessarily like going to try and win or anything, I just want to kind of explain the basic role of a Commando. So let's ready up. Basically you're a trash cleaning perk, I'm pretty sure most people know this already. And when Zed Time kicks in, you want to count to sort of 2.5, then shoot, and then you want to extend Zed Time, make it last as long as possible, because in Zed Time your teammates at level 25 will get their Zed Time skills activating. Yeah, so there is a world limit, you can only extend a certain amount of times. But yeah, basically, this is just like your main role throughout the game to kill trash and extend Zed Time. Like, they're the main things that you're supposed to do. And most importantly, extending Zed Time, because during Zed Time, for example, gunslingers get fan fire, which means that they reload and shoot in real time, which means that's 5 times faster than normal. So you're effectively increasing their DPS by 5 times. So yeah, buy strats. Now what I usually do is hang on to the varmint until I can afford the HMTech 401, sorry. The reason I pick this weapon is not just because it can heal your teammates, it's really like economically friendly. Like, it doesn't overkill the trash as much as stronger assault rifles. You get a large ammo capacity, it's like a little LMG pretty much. And another unique thing that it has is stumble power. Now, stumble power is really helpful against larges, because even without, and I do use the impact round skill, but even without that impact round skill, halfway through a Scrake takedown with the assault HMTech 401, you will get a stumble, which basically gives you some breathing room. It keeps the Scrake on the back foot and allows you to land more headshots before it's close enough to attack you. Also really nice if, you know, there's one getting up in your face, you can actually just shoot a few body shots even just to get that stumble, and then it allows you to actually shoot to the head. So it's really helpful. But yeah, another huge reason is the ammo pool. It has huge amounts of ammo, especially if you overcap it, and I'll explain overcapping in a little bit. Yeah, it has like 560 shots, 540, something like that, I'm not sure. And then after I bought that, I buy myself an FN-Fal, because it has the rifle damage type, which is good against Fleshpounds and Quarterpounds. But it's also a great trash cleaning weapon with weapon penetration, which you can use to like hard push back your lane if you're pushed. So it's a really handy weapon to have. And since the 401 has such a huge ammo pool, it makes up for the ammo that the FN-Fal is lacking. However, in the early waves, if your team is struggling, you will pretty much always, after wave 1, unless you die, have enough dosh to buy yourself either a bullpup or the preferred choice, a Tommy gun. Now I prefer the Tommy gun, it's statistically more powerful. If you can, you know, deal with the handling problems that it has, then it's a pretty nice weapon to have. It's also worth noting that the Tommy gun has pretty much the same stumble power as the HMTech 401. So against like Scrakes you get that really nice stumble. It is also worth like weakening rioters and stuff prematurely if you can. And if you do decide to use the Tommy gun, you want to reload it before it empties, because its reload from empty takes a lot longer than its reload with bullets in the mag. Which I didn't demonstrate very well just now. Anyway, now we've discussed the role of the Commando, I think it's a good time to talk about skills, and then we'll get headed onto the test map, and we'll do some more advanced stuff. So for skills, now I know I didn't demonstrate it in that quick game I just did, but on the early waves, before there are big Zeds spawning, it's worth using fallback instead of impact rounds, because the weapon switch speed can help you clutch Zed Time extensions. Like if you're late to switch weapons, you can always switch weapons quick enough anyway. But it can help you if you like don't realize that you're out of ammo and you have like an oh shit moment. Also, obviously you get extra damage with the pistol and the knife, which if you're having ammo problems can be very helpful. So yeah, for the loadout that I'm using, you pretty much always want to go high capacity mags as long as you know how to reload cancel. Tenacious and Prepared, we'll talk about these on the test map, because they are they're an odd one. But yeah, Hollow Point is just obvious because it's OP, and Machine Gunner basically gives you more reliability to extend. I know you can't like reload and then continue extending like you can with Tactician, but you can switch weapons, and switching weapons is quick enough, and having a Machine Gunner allows you to easily extend off of Zeds like Rioters, Sirens, even Husks, you know, Zeds that take multiple shots, and it also allows you to take down big Zeds during Zed time, like between your extensions. So let's ready up, let's get into the test map. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about now is overcapping. So I mentioned these two skills, these two middle skills, the level 15 ones. Now, we can switch to Prepared at trader time. And then we can open our trader and we can refill our weapons more because we obviously have more ammo capacity. So if we refill those now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to throw them on the floor. Now just be wary about who you do this around, obviously, because some people on public matches unfortunately do have a thing for stealing weapons. It's always worth like going around a corner, hiding them somewhere and doing it somewhere safe, I guess. But yeah, you can then switch straight back to Tenacious, which gives you extra health and armor. You can see my health is going above 100 now, and if I pick up my weapons, I still have the same amount of ammo as I had beforehand. So yeah, you do get 540 shots, I was right about that, and then you get 222, if I'm... yeah, I think so. But yeah, I just like to have my 401 in slot 1 and my FAL in slot 2, that's just personal preference. But yeah, don't forget to, you should probably buy your armor afterwards, unlike what I did, because you get better armor economy if you buy armor with the Tenacious on, because basically you're always spending 300 to fill up your armor, and you're filling it up by a percentage, so you're getting more bang for your buck if you have Tenacious equipped. But yeah, so now I'm just going to go over some stuff about dealing with big Zeds. So this isn't your role. You ideally, in most games, should be requesting, if you get big Zeds in mass that you can't handle, you should be requesting help for your gunslinger or your sharpshooter to come and give you a hand killing them. But commandos do often solo their own lane and deal with single Scrakes or double Scrakes or single Fleshpounds, or just, you know, small amounts of large Zeds on their own. You know, there's no hurt in that as long as you know how to do it safely. And if you don't, you should always request help and get someone who's playing a perk for killing big Zeds to give you a hand. So let's just start with the Scrake. I'm using impact rounds, so it will stumble the Scrake very early. You need to bear in mind that if you're not using impact rounds, you will not get a stumble with the FAL, and you will get the stumble a bit later with the 401. I'm going to get the stumble about a quarter of the way through the takedown. If you're not using impact rounds, you get it about halfway through the takedown, which is actually fine. It's just not as immediate in a situation where a Scrake's in your face and causing problems. So you just basically shoot it to the head and he will die. You get the stumble, so it's a really nice, easy, safe takedown. With a FAL, you need a bit more distance, so if you're close, if the Scrake is close to you, I would always use the 401, assuming you have it switched in. Unless you're having ammo problems, obviously, then you use a weapon which you aren't having ammo problems for. But if you have a bit more distance and you're, you know, you need the damage, you need to kill the Scrake quickly, then using the FAL is going to show you a better result, because you don't get the stumble as soon, but you do get the kill quicker. If I could land my shots anywhere, I would get the kill quicker. Let's just try that again. So yeah, using the FAL, I personally try to save it for Fleshpounds and Quarterpounds because I find that I run out of ammo on my FAL first. But, you know, it's obviously situational. So another thing that I want to mention is that if a docile Scrake gets near you, you can bash it to stumble it. But there is a stumble cooldown, so it'll only work once in a row, then you get melee hit the second bash. And something else you want to bear in mind is if you do bash a Scrake, you will not get your stumble immediately with your mid AR. That was a really bad takedown, but I'll take it. And just another thing worth mentioning for raging Scrakes. So say we've got a raging Scrake here. Try and make mental notes of his attack patterns. Remember that left and right, because it can really help you. So what I mean by that is you'll see how the Scrake right, left, I mean, and then you get your stumble cooldown back. So if you learn his attack animations, it can sort of just help you predict where his head's going to be. I understand it takes a little bit of practice to get to know these, so that's why I always recommend coming onto a test map and just having a play around with larges, because it really does help out on the field if you just can predict where heads are going to be. So yeah, speaking of learning animations, here's a really important one for you. And for the Fleshpound takedown, you will need to learn the animation, because it's like that. So make sure you're not too close to the Fleshpound, otherwise he could rage skip and use his lunge attack on you, which isn't a good thing. Basically that means when he doesn't do the rage animation and he just jumps at you and hits you straight away. And yeah, he's got to be docile for this. Trying to decap a raging FP with the Fal as a Commando is quite challenging to do, because obviously his arms are like protecting the bottom side of his face, and you've got quite a lot of recoil with the Fal. You don't have the movement speed that the Gunslinger has, and you don't have the slowdown either. Ideally, if there's a raging Fleshpound, you just want to block, jump, and then get the Fal out, do the takedown. The reason I didn't parry is because the knife, block, and parry actually deduct the same amount of damage, so there's not really any point in parrying unless you're a berserker going for the parry bonus, or if you just want to, you know, do it for the cool factor. But yeah, it's just more reliable to block, and you can just jump, focus on jumping at the right time, so you get that knockback. Because the thing is, if you don't get knocked back from the FP, he has quite a high chance to just slap you again, and it's not great considering Fleshpounds can do 80 damage max and they can finish you off the second hit. Just some things about laning. If you are laning with a gunslinger or a sharpshooter, I'd recommend you don't start the takedown. You should try and stay behind them when there are big Zeds and let them get the aggro, so that, you know, because they're the reliable big Zed killers, and it's hard to shoot Zeds in the head if you don't have aggro. So you want to try and be as the least hectic you can, kind of stay on your back foot while there are larges. Deal with the trash first, any trash that's around the larges, make sure they're not gutting for your sharpshooter or your gunslinger. And then after all of the trash is gone, you can help them shooting the big Zeds. But yeah, always prioritize extending, being considerate to your teammates, and trash cleaning, and then killing big Zeds, or if you absolutely have to kill big Zeds. Just a fun fact, if you are using impact rounds, you can actually stumble a raging FP with headshots before he goes into the rage animation, but it's not particularly helpful because you can't one-clip the FP anyway. So, you know, not a reliable takedown. You need to really use the Fal against Fleshpounds because of the rifle damage type. Just so much better against Fleshpounds than the assault rifle damage type. On one thing, if you do get Quarterpounds, you just basically head trace them the same as you do with Fleshpounds. It's not really worth doing it separately for quarters because they're just the same, really. The only thing you need to consider is, say you lose aggro and a Quarterpound is gutting for your teammate, you can see its health bars because you're a Commando. If they're low on health and you can't shoot the head, don't be afraid to body shoot them, because Quarterpounds, their head health is like really high compared to their body health. Their body health's actually really low. I think it's something like 1,100 head health and 1,700 body health, so you're actually okay to body shoot quarters if you need to. So now we're going to get to the fun stuff. By that I mean killing large Zeds in Zed Time. So, just going to trigger Zed Time and start shooting at this Scrake. As you can see, you basically extend and shoot. Extend and shoot. I don't need you anymore. Sorry. So basically, to summarize, priorities: extending Zed Time, cleaning trash. You want to lane with a non-hectic perk. You want to make sure whoever you're laning with is aware like to save you some trash Zeds so you can extend Zed time. And yeah, you want to let the giant slayers, so your gunslingers and your sharpshooters, you want to try and let them get aggro of the big Zeds and try not to get in the way of their takedowns. Because I've laned with some commandos before and I've been considerate to them, let them extend and stuff, and they've always like tried to run and steal aggro from the larges, and it's quite frustrating, to be honest. So yeah, just try not to be like that way to teammates. You should expect them to be considerate to you, but at the same time you have to be considerate to them. So yeah, thank you for watching. I think that pretty much wraps it up.